Well, we're joined today by David Leonard, an amazing artist. You've recently released a new album called Just Jesus. The location you chose to record this was a beautiful place. For those who don't know, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we decided to record this in an old cabin. If um, it's not far from where we are here in Franklin. It's just out in Fairview, which is just a little town next to us. But yeah, went out there for a whole week and started the whole process. And yeah, fell in love with creating in isolation, like away from the world. I love creating a community. We took a bunch of guys out there and we just had a great time. But there was something about being isolated from the world and just getting lost in the music. So I recommend it to everyone who's trying to make a record. Go get a cabin in the woods somewhere and lock yourself in.
How did you decide on this specific cabin, and what was that experience like?
Well, I mean, there was only one person that I knew who had a cabin, so my first call was to him. And if that didn't work out, I didn't know what I was doing, but it worked out. So, yeah, I think it was I got lucky. It happened to be Scott Cash from We the Kingdom, if you know We the Kingdom at all.
Oh,
But
yeah.
he has a cabin out there, and so we got to use his cabin. It's beautiful.
Fantastic. For this brand new album, congrats, by the way. We'd
Thank
love
you.
to know what was the inspiration when you wrote these songs?
Well, I mean, a lot of all the songs that I usually write are just what God's doing in my community, my family, my friends. A lot of these spun out of what was happening in my family. We ended up losing three grandparents really quickly, and my daughter had some health complications and stuff, and um, it was a lot real quick, and so a lot of these songs have kind of spun out of that realization that in the highest of highs and in the lowest of lows, the Lord has promised to be with us in all of it. And so um, naturally, out of moments like that, you artists tend to create out of that. And so I ended up writing songs, and now we're here with this thing. So
Well, I'm sorry for all your losses, and I appreciate you sharing that
yeah,
vulnerability with us.
yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of these songs, I would love to know what it was like collaborating with Cecily for We've Got History.
Yeah, I mean, she's an amazing writer. We wrote the song together. She's an incredible writer. First off, like she writes for so many different people, and then as an artist, I've always loved what she's done. And when we were talking about putting the song on the record, I was like, nah, there's no other person I'd rather do this with than her. And yeah, so I love it. It's one of my favorite songs on the record. Um, it's just simple truths and beautiful melodies. So my favorite things.
Speaking of your favorite songs, which song on this album means the most to you?
Oh man, I mean, daily that changes. I mean, for right now, I would say just Jesus. I think there's something beautiful in the surrender of going, God, I don't need any of the rest of the stuff. I just need you. And I think, especially in church these days, we spend so much time worrying about what a Sunday's going to look like, or um, if everything's perfect, and the Lord hasn't asked for any of those things. He's just asked for a relationship, and so um, I think the more we can talk about that, and the more we can get back to just the simple things of just a relationship with Jesus, and I think it'd be a sweet thing.
I agree. And speaking of that, what do you hope that our listeners and the listeners of this new album are going to take away from your project?
Yeah, I mean, I think every time I do a record, the hope is that just people can insert themselves in it. Um, you know, you can create all day long, you can do all this kind of stuff, but if it doesn't, meet people, it was for ourselves. Which the majority of the time, these songs I start off just writing for myself, and then to see what the Lord does with them is kind of crazy. But I've always heard that uh, if you write something and if you aren't moved by it, then no one else is going to be. And so I tend to kind of lean into that more of going, hey, I just got to write some songs that I feel strongly connected to, and I feel like God's moving in them, and then just hope that people find the same.
Music doesn't seem to be your only art form that you are passionate about. It sounds like you are also passionate about photography. We'd love to know, what is it about photography that you love?
You're gonna start talking about all my passions. Um, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm drawn to a lot of different things that aren't just music. It's still the creative side, but it doesn't have to do with my job, which is a cool, ex- like, just an outlet. I love photography. I mean, I love capturing things. I love the art of film. I love watching people's stuff. I love looking at photos, and um, I am not great at it by any way, shape, or form, but I love doing it. And yeah, this last year has been a year of all that kind of stuff. Photography. I took up sewing. I took up like all kinds of things, which you can not clearly see from my shirt that I'm really good at this. But I don't know. I love anything that's like you use your hands and like you're creative, and um I don't know. The Lord made us to create.
Amen. Going back to the album, being creative, you took this album, this project, you recorded it in this cabin in various places throughout the cabin, which we thought was pretty interesting too. And then you took it back to your own studio, which in itself is its own story. Tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, so me and another friend that I've been doing music with for over 10 years now, we bought a church in downtown Franklin and turned it into studio. It was a 3-year long process, which was insane. I've never bought a building or tried to remodel a building, and um, I don't recommend it to anyone. But we ended up with this beautiful space, and yeah, I feel lucky to have a home and to have a place to create a bunch of music in.
That's amazing. I would love to know what's up next for you as well. If anyone wants to learn more about you, how can they do that?
Yeah, I mean, songs coming out all the time, always throwing stuff up on YouTube. I got shows coming up that you can go to davidleonardmusic.com. You can follow me on Instagram. Um, I'm usually Instagram is usually the best way to keep up with what's going on in my world. Just David Leonard Music, but yeah, lots of stuff, lots of fun things.
Well, thank you so much for sharing the start of those fun things with us. And we look
Yeah,
forward to hearing more about you in the future. Thank you again for joining us.
yeah. Thanks
Thanks,
for
David.
having me.